Hi, welcome back. This is the third in the series of demonstration aid videos. I'm going to take you through looking at Discoverer now in terms of opening a demonstration with some of the other tools rather than the workbook we've looked at in the previous video. So here what I'm suggesting is you might want to open using one of the visually more appealing tools like the charting tool. You can click on the tool and open a window here, and then the tool expects you to use some of the dimensions from the System Explorer to populate it. So here we could grab region, for instance, drag that onto the bottom dimension. We could change the count of people, from household, to people, and build a chart view of our data. Sometimes it's helpful to maximize this to get the best visualizations while showing it to people. Now we have a breakdown of the number of people per region in our system, and remember the Teal Green holiday system has about 1.1 million people and 2.1 million transactions. So here you can see in the southeast we have 206,000 people. They're our biggest region on this database. Now we could add in another dimension here by dragging in another attribute. So for example, we could use region, but we could also find the holiday product, so their destination, where they've traveled to, drag that in, drop it onto the axes, rebuild, and then we get the new breakdown, which is far harder to read. But you can explain to people that they can use a looking glass to look at a proportion of the bar chart, or change to using a different visualization. When we open the charting tool, the toolbar at the top changed to be focused on different types of charts. So here, for example, we're using a bar chart, but we might decide to view everything in isolation using a pie chart. And now we've switched to using the destination and then a breakdown by the region. So here, the southeast, people that have traveled to Australia, 56,582 of them. You can see that on the tooltip. It's nice to see a clear visualization. You can show that these individual charts could be automated or animated, should I say, to step through the different holiday destinations. But seeing them in isolation is only one way of looking at them. Indeed, we might want to select on some of the data and exclude it from the visualization, which we can do by clicking on a segment and excluding it. Or we might decide that we want to click on a segment and use that group of 35 people and drag them out as a selection. Again, being able to drag out selections is a very powerful way of showing FastStats' capabilities. Being able to compare side by side the destinations would be also beneficial, and we can do that by changing from a page view to a trellis view and maybe a matrix to show that side-by-side comparisons can also be made quickly and easily. And here you can see that we have all of the different destinations compared side by side. Now in terms of sizing, you can see that, but a tree map view, clicking on this, will also allow size to be seen quickly and easily. And now we can see clearly that the pink region of the southeast is dominant in lots of these different views, different destinations. In some of them, for example, Latvia, we have a different region. Northern Ireland has taken over there to be the most popular, but you can quickly see that as a visual indicator. Now these views can also be used with the storyboarding tool, and a nice way of introducing orbit. You might decide to add several items into the storyboarding. Here we have a cube, a vent, and now we have a breakdown using a tree map view. So these things can all be added in to orbit and then shown to the client, which I will do in a moment. So using different visualizations and talking about the analysis trail that is appearing on the right hand side is a nice lead into a demonstration. So for example, we can step back to a visualization we had on the screen a moment ago without having to recreate it from scratch, and you can choose to move back and forward throughout the analysis trail, making it trying to simplify things for people and make it easy for them to do things. So using charts is a nice way of introducing the system. It shows the interactiveness of the system and the quality of the visualizations. Now if I just close the chart down there We could also use a cube tool to do some of that. So grabbing a blank cube, dragging that onto the screen, and then using the cube to break down the data is very effective as well. So if I use region, drag that onto the one axis, use destination, drag that onto the other, you can see that the interactiveness of the system, it's quick enough in demonstrations to be able to show this interactiveness quickly and easily. Here we can see 56,000 people from the southeast have travelled to Australia. It may be that we want to change the breakdown by adding in financial information. How much money did we make out of these transactions? So we could use the holiday information, and maybe with the right mouse click, drag into the middle of the cube and let go. We can sum up all of the transaction values in each of these cells. So once this is run, for example, it will aggregate on the fly the value for the 56,000. We now know they've spent 36 million, huge figure, on their holidays to Australia. And we might need to know more like the average spend, and we can drag in the same attribute again and choose the mean value, and you can see we're building up a statistical picture here of their spend. So again, 36 million, but the average was £635 per transaction. And if we scroll across, we can see for Australia 635, 639 for New Zealand, and for Denmark we've got 700 pounds as an average there. Very easy and quick to be able to get those calculations done on the fly. Obviously FastStat's unique capability to aggregate and display these results very, very quickly. We can also use this Sigma control here to display the results differently. So now I've stacked them on top of each other here, and we can see there just each of the statistics laid out underneath each other. So leading into a demonstration, either using a visualization or a cube is a very good way to go. You can use the cells to pick out a selection of people and drag them out and say, well, actually these people are from the East Midlands that have travelled to Australia, 17,000 of them. I'm now going to take them and use a template and analyze them straight away, and I'm going to drop them on an email template, and then that will open up a data grid and show you those records line by line. Again, the interactiveness coming across in a demo very quickly and easily.